Has your energy felt off lately? Have you been feeling overwhelmed, scattered, or heavy? I promise you're not imagining it. Today, we're going to talk about the nervous system and how it gets overloaded, what energetic residue actually is, and how micro resets can shift your energetic field quickly and sustainably. So let's get cozy and let's dive in. Welcome to Beyond Energetics, the podcast where we explore the unseen forces that shape our lives. I'm Sarah, and together we'll journey into the depths of energy, intuition, and transformation. In each episode, we'll uncover how subtle energies influence our daily experiences, delve into practices that enhance our intuitive abilities, and discuss how aligning with these forces can lead to profound personal growth and health. Whether you're new to the world of energy or looking to deepen your understanding, this space is for you. So settle in, open your mind, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. Alrighty, so welcome back to another episode. I am so glad you are here today. Today's episode is a really important one, and it slightly builds on what we explored in the last episode about neuroception and the big question that so many of you loved. Is this intuition or is this hypervigilance? That conversation opened up so many messages from you, people realizing their own intuition, what neuroception is, PTSD, and how all of those interplay with one another to create this beautiful collaboration of remembrance, intelligence, and intuition. So let's build on this layer that we explored last time and really deepen into not only what intuition is, but now that we understand why our systems react the way it does, let's explore how we can actually support our energy so it doesn't stay stuck and we don't stay stuck in reactive loops, right? We've all been there where we catch ourselves doing the same thing over and over again, reacting the same way. Maybe in relationships, you're dating the same kind of people over and over again, or you're responding to a situation or a stimulation the same way you had previously, and you really are aware of that and are ready to flip the switch and begin to respond a little bit differently. Because here's the truth. When our nervous systems are overloaded, even just in the slightest bit, your energy gets scrambled. Your intuition is going to be harder to decipher. It gets quieter, and we're going to start feeling off without really knowing why. Maybe we feel a little bit more sluggish. Maybe we're getting headaches. Maybe we're just tapped out, touched out, overwhelmed, and freeze. So today I want to break down in a way that's very practical and compassionate and grounded in both energy work and nervous system science, why your energy feels heavy or scattered. I want to go beneath the surface, can't talk today, and really examine, how we can reset our energetic field and our nervous system in really simple, fast, tangible, and incredibly effective ways. So this conversation, as I mentioned before, is really the foundation for something special. It's also building on something we've already spoken about. But what's coming up is a 7-day energetic reset, which I designed because so many of us are carrying way more energetic weight than we need to or even realize. So if you're interested in the 7-day energetic reset, please visit my website. There will be links in the show notes, and we can really tap into shifting not only our inner energetic, our outer energetics, try saying that 5 times fast, but as well as our energetics within our home. So definitely check it out if it's calling to you. So enough of that. Let's drop in. Let's talk about why your energy feels the way it does and what happens when you finally give your system the reset it's been asking for. So let's first talk about why your energy feels the way it does. because it's really not random. It's not personal. It's not a failure. And it's definitely not just in your head. I know so many of us, especially if we've been navigating the Western medical system, have been gaslit to think things are in our head. And this just isn't the case. So when your nervous system has been living in stress or hypervigilance, maybe overcaring or overgiving, maybe you are a perfectionist or a people pleaser, right? All of these things and are really things that pull you out of yourself, right? Your energy field starts to carry the weight of all of these things that you've been doing. You've been giving and giving and giving, and now your cup is completely empty or nearing that empty state. So you don't really have the energy to continue to maintain a level of giving that you once were able to. And in doing so, you're leaving yourself depleted, overstimulated, maybe exhausted mentally, emotionally and physically. And this is going to show up with physical symptoms as well, right? We can know these things. We can intellectualize what we're doing and how we're feeling until the cows come home. But what we need to learn to do is come up with a solution to get out of the cycle we've been in. And when we've been in that cycle for a long time, we can have physical ailments that show up in our body because of the depletion or the overgiving we've been doing. And that can show up in many ways. Physically, you can have this weird heaviness in your chest that you just don't understand. It could feel as though it's crushing or just like an anxious overwhelm, pressure in the chest. You can have feelings of being scattered or unfocused. You have the dishes that you've tried to complete washing 4 or 5 times now, but every time you come back or realize you walked away, the dishwater is cold. It could be laundry buildup. It could be just everyday things. You have 7 different projects on the go, right? Or just asking someone to repeat themselves 3 times because you're just not understanding. There's no capacity to integrate in what is being spoken to you. You might have little or no patience, snapping at small things. It might show up as a consistent sense of rushing, right? Let's go, hurry up. We need to get out of here. Hurry, hurry, hurry. I gotta run, I gotta go. I can't stay and visit. I gotta get to the next thing, right? Spiraling thoughts are another aspect of this. Low-grade anxiety that never really turns off is something I see in office so frequently. And one of the classic sensations that shows up is feeling off but not knowing why, right? You've been going to the doctor, something just doesn't feel right, maybe therapist, it's just really not knowing why. Now, energetically, this tends to happen because your nervous system is holding so much more than you can process. And when your nervous system is overloaded, you're going to feel like you're being just bombarded and really are trying to constantly dig your way free or tread water. Your energy field becomes super cluttered with old patterns, old memories, old emotional residue, things that you've collected along the way. What I'm seeing is like walking through life and you're wearing Velcro and everything is just sticking to you. Sometimes we need to have that space and that ability to just go and take all those things that have stuck to us off and set them to the side so we can breathe again. Because you can imagine how heavy it would be to carry around all those different experiences, sensations. It's like wearing 12 backpacks. We have to be able to put them down at some point. And sometimes because we are in certain seasons of life, we don't have that possibility or space to do so. So then things build up and compile. And it can make your body feel overwhelmed, your mind feel overwhelmed, your energy just feel messy because it's so full. And this is where this cycle begins. So let's move into what this actually means energetically, right? So we know that we're walking around like Velcro and everything's sticking to us, and we might be in that stage of life where we can't really afford to stop because if we stop, what's going to happen then? I have so many women that sit, and men too, that sit before me, and we have these discussions. They're like, I can't stop, because if I stop, I don't know if I am going to be able to keep going. And so what's happening is that your system is at this tipping point, and it's not actually malfunctioning. We often think something's wrong, I'm broken. It's actually, you're at this point where your system is protecting you. Your energy here is contracting, and when you're overwhelmed, it can feel as though it's squeezing you. Your energetic field becomes tight or dense or even chaotic, and it's as though it's constantly scanning for safety, right? When we think about it, our energetic field is like a radar, and it's constantly scanning for safety. And when our body doesn't have the space to allow that safety in, it's going to go into old patterns, because those patterns worked at some point in your life to keep you alive, keeping you surviving. So when your body is constantly scanning for safety, it's going to be exhausting. This just means, the scanning for safety just means that your nervous system is quietly and quite automatically evaluating your environment for signs of danger before you think, and before your mind is able to even come up with a reaction. Your energy, your nervous system is looking for ways to ensure that you are safe, but it's also looking for things that are putting you in danger. And this is a process called neuroception, which we talked about previously. And what's actually happening is that your nervous system is running a background safety check. Basically, it's like your phone constantly checking for Wi-Fi, or your computer constantly doing a virus scan, right? That's the same thing that's going on within your body at this point in time, within your energetic field. And it's going to look at things, not Wi-Fi signals, but human signals like facial expressions, tones of voice, body language, sudden movements, changes in energy. And all of this is great, but we have to keep in mind that, sometimes these learned behaviors, if we've been in spaces of high stress, high anxiety, danger, we can sometimes misread these signals as dangerous, because we've learned from past experiences, whether it's parents from when you were being a child and they would get angry all the time. So now anytime someone takes a sigh, you think, oh my gosh, they're mad at me. But maybe we're misreading that, and maybe that sigh is actually their own realization that they were holding their breath, and that was their coping mechanism. So they're sighing in order to be more present, let their shoulders down. So we can see how things get misinterpreted here. So why it matters to know this is that when you're trying to discern whether this is intuition or anxiety, we can really misread neutral situations as danger. So having this awareness of, okay, let's get curious here. Is this actually dangerous, or is this a learned danger symbolism or experience or sensation from a past experience? This is where talk therapy comes in as an excellent tool to understanding, right? Therapy in general is not about healing you. It's about understanding what you've been through and where you're at, to help you implement different strategies and tools to live life more fluidly, more abundantly. So this is what's going on underneath of the surface, right? This is what's actually incredibly intelligent about your body and your nervous system and your energetic body, as it's all working together. And your system isn't malfunctioning. I know I've said this before, but it's not malfunctioning. It's protecting you. So your energy is going to contract when you're overwhelmed. Your field is going to become that dense state or chaotic in a way of scanning for safety. And your body is going to go into old patterns and reactions, because those patterns worked at some point in your life to keep you safe. You're not broken. Your reaction is not an overreaction, it's learned. And hypervigilance, it's not intuition, but it's your body's remembering. And so all these things are really quite fascinating because they're keeping you safe. But when your system has been carrying those memories for a long time, it becomes harder to return to a baseline. This place where your energy doesn't drop back down is actually keeping you in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And your breath is harder to soften. It's harder to take that deep breath into the back body, into the side body, into the belly. It's hard for your energetic field to open up, and it's hard to just really relax, right? I feel like that's when we're at that point of not being able to really let go because we don't know if we're ever going to be able to stop crying or really actually relax. It's like we forgot how to relax because we've been in this state of overwhelm for so long. We've got stuck in this loop. And so in order to really move through this cycle that we've been trapped in, I found it's best to start really subtly. We have to, in a way, not necessarily stop listening to our own cues, but be curious about them. Sometimes we've been really good at pushing through and going to the next thing and just positive thoughts all the time, but that's really bypassing. That's really saying, I have this sensation. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right. We'll put it to the side. We're going to keep going. And this emotion or sensation you're feeling is waving at you, being like, hey, come back and sit with me. I actually want to show up here today and have a discussion with you. And so when we ignore that sensation, when we just push through, we're also ignoring energy. We're ignoring our body signals. Because sometimes, yes, life requires it, but because it's also a learned habit. So our systems are great at adapting, but the problem with that is that it doesn't know when to stop adapting. That hyper alert mode will stay on even on days when you're safe, even when days when you're at home, even when nothing's wrong. And that can show up as feeling as though we have to be constantly doing something, or we constantly have to be running away to the forest, or just joining all these sports clubs, or really being hyper social or at the gym all the time. We just can't sit. And that's because we're consistently being in this dysregulated, now regular state for us. And so we have to take a moment to then slowly integrate moments of safety where we can know that this new rhythm that we're trying to move into is really not trying to harm us, but to give us that capacity to rewire those new neural pathways and retrain our nervous system so we can have that space and place to really retrain our nervous system and find safety and unlearn old patterning, old ways of staying in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. So we often get trapped in this cycle, right? Because we stop listening to our own cues. We get really good at pushing through and really being able to realize that at some point we have to stop. We have to begin to really listen to our body system and really allow our intuition and that inner knowing to take the front seat, knowing that we're not dramatic, we're not sensitive, but we're just continuously dysregulated. And cycling out of that takes so much more than a deep breath or an off moment of self-care. It requires a completely new rhythm. And that can be really overwhelming. And I wanted to acknowledge that moving into this place of regulation, especially if you are a parent that has been going and going and going in this same rhythm for the past 7, 8, 16 years, this could be daunting. It's like, where do I even find the time? How do I even do this? It's so foreign that it can almost feel anxious. The other piece of this is that we have to realize that just going for one massage here and there, or going to talk therapy once a year, or really being spotted and taking care of ourselves isn't going to make a long-standing shift. We're going to go back into that cycle. So this is where I want to be super, super honest. And if you know me, you know I love energy work, I love Reiki, I love all the beautiful modalities that we use, but a single session, no matter how powerful, whether it's talk therapy, no matter whether it's Western medicine, whether it's energetics, no matter how powerful, it won't undo years of patterned hypervigilance. It can definitely open the door. It can give a glimpse of you, of how you could feel for a long-standing period of time if you continued with the regulation that comes with these modalities. And it can also reset your system momentarily. But long-standing energetic change happens in cycles, not sporadic moments. It happens in consistency and regular exposure to safety. So your body needs repeated experiences of safety. Your nervous system needs consistency, not intensity. And your energy field needs repetition, not miracles. So transformation is cumulative. It is not something that just happens out of the blue. And the one thing that I have seen for sure is individuals who have rapid moments of what I call breakthrough or spiritual experiences, such as going to ayahuasca or having this huge transformational microdose or psychotherapy session. And that can spark not a downfall, but almost like this moment of psychosis that can really spark a snowball effect, for lack of better words. So when someone has a rapid transformation, what I've seen more than a handful of times is that leads to some type of psychosis. And that's where, regulation and cumulative approaches and safety is so important. Bigger is not always better. The go big, go home, that's not the case when we're working with our nervous system, when we're looking to make long-standing shifts in our energy bodies and energy fields. So long-term regulation is really built truly through small, repeated moments of grounding, of breath, interpretation of old patterns, right? That being curious in those micro pauses. Maybe you're taking a few moments before you rush from the car to the grocery store. Maybe you sit there for a moment and take a few rounds of breath and just feel your body, be present. Wow, how do I actually feel right now? Even doing that right now as I'm talking, taking a moment to just breathe, maybe give this a pause and scan the body. How am I actually feeling? What am I sensing in this moment, right? We can also continue to have these tangible results and long-standing results through continuous clearing of the energetic field, gentle somatic practices, and really consistent energetic maintenance. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It definitely doesn't have to take hours and hours and hours. We don't need to go on a big yoga retreat for a week and expect to come back a whole nother person. Now, sometimes that happens, but what happens after that yoga retreat, if nothing else is followed through on, is you go back to that old patterning. So you're going to have to continue with whatever the practice is that began or needs to happen to continue that state of being. So again, your energy changes when your system finally trusts that regulation isn't a one-time thing. So again, that consistency is so important. And that's why going away on these big retreats, sometimes we come back and then it's a shock to our system and we end up going into that post-retreat, what I call a post-retreat low, because we were just on this high of feeling safe and supported and seen, and we were able to breathe and regulate our nervous system and be present with ourselves. And then all of a sudden we're back into the rush of daily life, and it can feel like a big downer, and it can send you into a depression or a psychosis if you're not careful. So just knowing that as you create your new baseline, there's going to be some glitches. And the other thing to know too is as you walk through those doors of creating this new baseline, maybe putting in some much needed boundaries, maybe finding new practices, maybe going to therapy or energetic healing sessions, and getting curious about where these ways of being have stemmed from, where these habits have begun. You're going to transform, and you're going to change, and you're going to start to understand yourself more and more and better and better. And you're going to be with yourself 24/7. So you're really going to understand where it is you're coming from. But others around you oftentimes don't see that change until it's weeks, months later. And then they're like, oh my goodness, you've changed. And yes, that is the point. But your changing can sometimes trigger insecurities within someone else, which can lead to relationships kind of falling apart, even lifelong friendships. It could lead to people getting a bit angry with you, or how dare you? That's something that, excuse me, I see constantly, and I've experienced myself. People don't always understand the changes you're moving through and the reasoning for that, but you have to do what's best for you. And those things that are meant to stay will, and just trusting that process, not going on that trip of ego. I'm better because I'm doing this inner work. Blah. I hate when people say that, because you are no better than the person next to you. You're just going down a different path. So these are things, that I've experienced myself. I've learned the hard way. There was a period when I kept feeling off, not so much anxious, not enough to call it anxiety, not burnt out enough that I was crashing, but just this constant state of internal like buzzing and stagnation, and just I wasn't myself, and I couldn't let it slide. I couldn't kind of come out of it. And so I knew that my own tools weren't able to shift this. So I actually went for a session myself with a practitioner. And sometimes, I say all the time, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I say, doctors need doctors, hairstylists need hairstylists. We all need someone in our life, regardless of what our title is, what our job is. And so I like to go for energetic sessions myself. And I find that just clearing and my field and surrendering and allowing someone to come in and assist me and walk me through the heaviness, it allows me to regulate on such a deeper level than what I would experience if I was just meditating and doing energetic clearing myself. And when we get to these states where it's like, okay, I can't shake it, I've used all my tools, it's going to probably start to get quite frustrating, because you know how to regulate. Myself, for me, I knew how to regulate others and how to help everyone out, but I couldn't get myself to that state anymore because I was just at my capacity. So this is where I go in and I have other people help out and shift and even cry, like, for whatever reason. With this one practitioner, whenever she starts to move things, I start to cry and release, because I have that safe space that I can actually take off those backpacks, rip off those things that were stuck to my Velcro, and just have that tiny moment to get back to my baseline. Because for me, once I get that tiny moment to get back to my baseline, I can continue to build on that and continue to use my tools and that I've learned, and go back maybe in a few weeks for another top up. And then I tend to be good for a long time. And I see a lot of clients that do that too. But what's important here, and what shifts everything, is realizing that sometimes our energy doesn't need one big reset, right? It just needed that little help to get through that breakthrough moment, so that I can continue to have daily micro resets for the next however long. And I like to do daily resets, literally daily, because, working with energy myself, I take on a lot. I have a lot of things that stick to my Velcro. So tiny moments where I can come back to myself, even if it's through the assistance of other, there's no shame in that. It's actually very empowering, and it's lovely to have a community of support. We don't have to heal alone. We don't have to go through things alone. We just have to allow ourselves the vulnerability to show up and be real and take off those masks and allow ourselves to have those little repetitions of rewiring the things in a way that we really couldn't do by ourselves, and that nothing that we have in our toolbox was being able to touch in those moments. So sometimes we do need some help. Sometimes people see you changing. I know I've lost many friends. People think I was crazy for getting into energetics, for leaving nursing and following this passion and understanding of the body being more than car parts, more than a business sale. By doing integrative energetics, it's really about collaborating and understanding that everything is interconnected, and those physical symptoms are usually the end result of ignored energetic symptoms. So, if this is something that you're interested in, if you are at the point in your life, in your world where your daily tools are no longer working, then this might be exactly what you're looking for in the 7-day energetic reset. I'm not doing this because people need one more thing to add to their to-do list. I'm doing this because most people have never experienced what it feels like to be consistently regulated for more than a moment. So starting the 1st of January, for 7 days, we're going to be guiding you back into your body, into your energetic field, into your rhythm, and simply, gently allowing you to come back into that place without overwhelm. So if you feel as though your energy has been scattered or heavy, or you've been really living in that low-grade hyper alertness, if you're touched out, if you've been moving through the heaviness of life and you're just like, oh my goodness, I just need to catch a break, or you're scared to allow yourself to breathe for a moment because you're not sure if you're going to be able to continue on after you let yourself feel, then this reset is going to deeply support you. I've curated with that in mind. And so the links in the show notes is where you can find more about this beautiful reset that's going to be happening in January. Or you can also find it through my Instagram at Beyond Energetics. And as always, take what resonates, leave the rest, and move at your own pace. It's okay to just be yourself. So let's get into the steps we can actually start using today to really shift and integrate into our own body's regulated state. So the number one thing I love to do is breath, right? It's something we can do at any point in time, whether it's in the washroom at work, whether it's at our desk, whether it's walking, you name it, we can do it any time. So I like to do a reset breath, and it's something that takes things a little bit further than a belly breath. So all we're going to do is we're going to breathe into the body. But instead of breathing into the belly and filling up that belly, we're going to breathe into the back and sides, kind of like we're opening an accordion as we breathe. So breathing into the back body. And as we breathe in, we're going to breathe out the sides as well. So into the back body and expand out to the sides like an accordion opening. And exhale, contracting and breathing out. And we're going to do that 3 times. So I'm inviting you to do that now if you wish. And maybe you find some tightness in the throat here. Be curious about that. So if this is something you like, you can also do this at home, taking it a step further, laying on a yoga mat or on the bed and putting a little weight on the chest, and integrating some weighted breathing here is also something that's really great if you've been in a state of high anxiety or hypervigilance for a long time. It's going to really help that nervous system. The second tool that I like to do is an energetic sweep. It is when you simply just do that. You energetically sweep your aura from head to hips. It's nice, it's slow, it's intentional, it's clearing static and really resetting your field. So think of the image of having all those things stuck to you and your Velcro body, right? We're taking our hands and we're flicking energy and whatever the intention is. If we're releasing anything that's no longer serving us or anything that's stuck in our field, we're simply just brushing away all these things off of our body and our backs too, right? We never know what's being thrown at us. So just giving your whole body an energetic sweep with the intention of letting go and clearing and resetting your field. The third thing is naming what's true. It's a check-in where you ask yourself, get curious. Curiosity is my number one. What am I actually feeling right now? Not what am I perceiving myself to be feeling, not what I think I should be feeling. What am I actually feeling right now and where? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling rage that's disguised? Am I feeling sadness or grief that's disguised as rage? Where am I feeling it in my body? Am I feeling it in my lower back? Am I feeling it in my stomach? Am I feeling it in my jaw? What am I actually feeling right now? And not what you should feel, not what you're telling yourself, what's actually real. And these 3 shifts alone can really shift your day. So I encourage you, if you're doing the third little practical tool of name what's true, try writing it down. Allow yourself to free write. What am I actually feeling? Putting that on the top of a page and just allowing yourself to write down whatever it is that's coming up, not stopping, not overthinking, not thinking even of what you're putting down. Just simply write down until you feel complete and then read over. You might be really fascinated by what has come up. I love that exercise. So I hope today that some of this has helped you re-regulate your system in some capacity. And let me just leave you with this kind of food for thought, right? Your energy is not something you have to fight with, fix, or force into balance, okay? You don't have to force it. It's something that responds to consistency, to the softness, and the ways in which you personally choose to show up for yourself, even if it's in really small amounts. Little baby steps, little tiny moments are still moments. It's about consistency and building on those small steps rather than carrying and shifting in big monumental ways in rapid transformation. If your system has been carrying a lot, if you've been living in that low hum of stress for so long that it feels normal, know that nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken. Your body is simply adapted, your energy has adapted, and now you're simply learning to find a new rhythm. Every tiny little reset you offer yourself, even just 30 seconds at the end of this podcast, that 30 seconds tells your system that you're safe now, that you can come back home, that you can be present in your body. And when you string those little moments, those moments of maybe 10 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe even longer, day after day after day, your energy is going to really start to recognize and reorganize in ways that feel calm, in ways that feel clear. And you're going to start feeling like yourself again, feeling deeply like yourself again. So whether you join me for the 7-day energetic reset, or you continue to do this work in your own way, or maybe come see me in office or online for a virtual session where we do this work together and specifically tailored to you, I truly hope that today you give yourself permission to slow down, to soften, and really to reconnect with your field without pressure or perfection. Okay, your energy is so wise. Your nervous system is extremely intelligent, and you deserve to feel what it's like to live from regulation instead of survival. Coming from someone who lived in survival for years and years and years, you absolutely deserve to live from regulation instead of survival. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for doing this work, not just for yourself, but for everyone who touches your life. This work expands out beyond you. It affects everyone in your life in a beautiful way. So keep doing the work, keep taking care of you. And if you want to explore the 7-day energetic reset with me, the link is in the show notes and on my Instagram, and you can join me whenever you feel ready. See you in the next episode. Take care and stay cozy.